What is up, Gasser Nation? Welcome to the next episode of Ace Assign. This episode, I finished my front suspension, and no, it's not a straight axle. I know it's a little bit controversial, but fact of the matter is, not all gassers had straight axles, and it doesn't have to have a straight axle to be a gasser. I can prove it, but I don't want to argue about it. It is what it is. What we're going to do in this episode is do all the front suspension. I bought a disc brake kit at a swap meet, got a great deal on it, like $100, so can't go wrong with that. So new control arms, disc brakes. Did the old school wagon spring trick with the ball joint spacers, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly how much lift you get out of that deal. I know there's a lot of speculation on the internet. A lot of old timers know how to do it, but this is going to tell you exactly how to do it and how much lift we got out of it. And man, the car looks killer. I'm super stoked about it. About the straight axle, I can't afford it. So just like back in the day, everybody did what they did to make their car fast and make it work on a budget, and on the budget they had to work with, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I had all the stuff to do this setup. It's going to give me the look that I want with the car. It's going to look like a gasser when it's done, and that's $1,000 that I don't have to spend, because I want to get a good straight axle, disc brakes, all that stuff. Maybe down the road when I get a little more money and a little more time, then we'll look at doing that. But for now, the front end's rolling, the entire car is rolling, and I'm super stoked about it. Stay tuned, we'll show you guys what's up. Brand new rocket wheels showed up. Pretty stoked on these. Rocket fuel 15x4s. 4 3/4 pattern for the front of Aces High. So we'll go ahead and try to unbox them and see what's up here. Oh yeah. Very nice. I tell you what, man, these wheels for the money, like, I just don't see how you could go wrong. They look absolutely killer, and they're very inexpensive. All right, guys, we're out here digging through the scrap pile. Agenda for today on Aces High is to rebuild the front suspension. It's not going to be a one-day thing, but I've got all new disc brakes set up for the front, and the only thing that I don't have new, I have upper and lower control arms and everything. Not new, but they're like refurbished basically. So what we're going to do is get those painted up. Got new brake calipers, all that stuff, get all that stuff cleaned up and painted. And I'm back here digging through the pile. As you can see, this is kind of the scrap pile. What I'm looking for is these bars, because I want to keep the setup that's on the car now. I just want to keep it complete, since it is a complete setup and I have enough stuff to go back with different stuff. So so I'm gonna get these bars out of these, and that's where the control arms mount to the frame. So I'm going to get these out and paint them up too. That way I'll have a whole separate setup. This is all my other stuff. I picked up this complete setup at a swap meet. So it's new calipers. They've just been sitting in a box for a while. New master cylinder, disc rotors, upper and lower control arms that have already been cleaned and painted. Got a brand new set of springs. These are 348 wagon springs, 61 springs. So that's the old trick. You use those springs with the ball joint spacers to get a bit more lift out of the front. And then these are the spindles and caliper brackets. And then my buddy Greg, who owns Tippy Toes, gave me all new bushings, ball joints, and everything for the front. And also have a set of ball joint spacers that I found on eBay for a good deal. So so getting ready to go back together with all this stuff. Like I said, I'm going to run the control arms for now. I don't see a point in doing a straight axle because gassers aren't required to have a straight axle. But maybe later down the road when I have the extra money, I may do a straight axle. But I mean, I'm looking at almost $1,000 to do a straight axle setup, and there's no real weight savings there since I'm keeping the stock front clip. So I don't really see much of a point in doing it. So we're going to do these for now. Like I said, later down the road when I have time and money, maybe we'll do that. But for now, this is going to work just fine. All right, guys, got the holes cut. It's 1.5 inch and then 1 3/8 there on the end where it tapers down. We don't want to go too big because we don't want to make them weak. But Got these done now. Put all the bushings and stuff in them, and then I'll paint them, and then we'll get them on the car. We got our front suspension parts, the upper control arms, caliper brackets, spindles. So I'm painting all this stuff and kind of color code all this stuff. So I'm using this Rust-Oleum hammer finish black on the chassis. I just like to pay attention to details, you know, put a little extra time into doing this kind of stuff, and that'll make the final product look that much better. Out here working on the front suspension parts and brakes. Just getting all this stuff cleaned up and painted. Got my spindles up here. Getting them painted up with a little hammered finish. Trying to make all this stuff look a little bit decent. Doing the calipers gold. Just kind of going all out with the gold, man. It's winding down on this front suspension. So these, the theme that I'm taking is like partially the suspension parts, like lower suspension parts that will be seen from the outside of the car. I'm going with the gold color. So these lower control arms, we did the holes in them. So that'd be kind of the showpiece, and then I'm gonna go gold with those. So get a quick little coat on these and build it on up, and then we'll flip it over and do the more visible side. All right, guys, so what we're doing today is working on the front suspension on this car. There's a lot of speculation, old tales, miscommunication, and stuff like that about doing the wagon springs and ball joint spacer system to lift the front of a Tri-5. So today what I want to do is I have that set up, I have all the parts, and we're going to be putting this stuff on here, and once and for all we're going to tell you exactly what kind of lift you get out of it. This being a big block will be different from a lot of guys. We're squishing it down a good bit more, but with the big block in it, so I'm going to measure from this front pad, and I have the two front tires with the same amount of pressure in them. So we're 13 1/4. Pretty much dead on 13 1/4 from the ground on this pad. And that's with the stock suspension still in place. Everything's stock just like it was. And then I'll get back to you as soon as we get all the new stuff on. So what I ordered was a set of front coil springs for a 1958 348 wagon. Ordered brand new springs from Rock Auto. They're super cheap. And then I have a set of the ball joint spacers that you can buy on eBay. They're just billet spacers. And other than that, it's just like a Speedway style front brake, disc brake conversion set. But everything else would be the same. All the control arms and everything like that are still factory that I'm going back with, even though they're a different set. But yeah, so we're gonna find out once and for all definitively what that setup will do for you. Upon inspection, we discovered that a lot of the factory welds on the chassis were less than good. So we decided to go back and grind some of those out and re-weld them, just to kind of make sure the chassis is up to par when we start flexing on it with a little bit of power. So in comparison to these two springs, just looking at them, they're really about the same height. The big difference is going to be the spring rate. You can tell this one, the coils are quite a bit thicker, bigger in diameter than the old spring. So that's where the difference is going to be. So them being thicker, it's got a higher spring rate. They won't be able to compress as much under weight. So we'll see how it goes. We're going to gouging out these holes in the frame. There's a huge buildup of stuff. This one on the driver's side particularly, that's about a 2-inch deep pile. Pulled intake gaskets, front end shims, bolts.
Gravel and asphalt.
Yeah, gravel and asphalt out of it. Pretty crazy. Yeah, that's all. The shock obviously didn't come out of there. It was on the car, but everything else other than the shock came out of that hole. So we're gonna be getting all this stuff cleaned up, and I'm just gonna paint, kind of quick paint underneath here so I can put the new suspension stuff on it, and just will probably work my way back and go ahead and paint most of the front part of the frame. I'm gonna leave the engine in it right now so we can keep the weight on the front, and that way we can get an accurate measurement of the rod height difference. So that's what we're working on. All right, guys, we're going back together with the front suspension now. Freshly painted lightened parts. So doing all this, got all new bushings and all that good stuff. So the front end's essentially rebuilt. Doing my rotors over here. Got my new long ARP studs in them. Painting them up a little bit. Lowers are painted gold to match the ladder bars on the rear wheels. Uppers, got the most of the front. Just kind of got this touched up. I'm not completely finished with it yet. I ran out of paint, but we'll get some more paint and I'll finish painting the front half of the frame. This is really just kind of temporary because I know we'll be doing some more fabrication work, but mainly just wanted to get underneath these uppers, because once they're on here, I'm not going to be able to get to paint up under there again. So this stuff is going on here to stay, hopefully. But yeah, guys, just a little update for today. We're going to try to get this thing, see if we can get it rolling today. So on the front. All right, so we're getting closer. We got the lowers on, got the springs in, spindles on, caliper brackets on, got all that good stuff. It's looking nice. I hang these rags up here so I don't butt my head on the end of that frame, because it will happen. But yeah, so we got these going, so it won't be long. I'll get my rotors on and we can set her down and see how she looks, see what kind of lift we got. Putting more holes in the chassis to match the lower control arms. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I could do that gold to tape it off. Yeah, just do the front part. So the front suspension is done for the most part, so we're gonna let it down and see how it sits now. All right, guys, so I got the front suspension complete. We got the wagon springs in with the ball joint spacers. So like I said, that's 348 wagon springs, ball joint spacers. We measured it before with the stock setup. It was 13 1/4, I believe, right at it. So we're gonna take the same measurement. Tire pressures are all the same. So we're pretty much dead on about 15 3/8, something like that. So pretty much exactly a 2-inch lift. 2-inch lift is what we got from that setup. So I think it's gonna be pretty well perfect. Just kind of looking at the car from the side, it's still got a tiny bit of a nose down rake, but like I said, those are 33-inch tires. So that the rear end's gonna come down a little bit when I put my 31-inch tires on it. So what I was looking for was a level stance, and I think that's gonna achieve my stance right there. So, but yeah, really happy with that. The front end in, I think it looks really cool. Did the gold lower control arms, gold calipers. I got Competition Engineering adjustable front shocks, so I got those set to 90/10 right now. So we got a little bit of adjustment there. It does have some travel in it, so that's all good. I decided to paint this insert here. We put the holes in it to kind of match the control arms. Painted it gold. So I think that's a pretty cool look. It kind of ties everything together. Kind of give you an idea. Yeah, so it looks pretty cool. Pretty happy with that. So now I'm gonna put the new ones on. These tires are a bit taller, so it's probably gonna move the car up to where it'll have more of a level stance, really. Anyway, give me just a second and we're gonna jam these on and see how it looks. All right, guys, we got her out in the sunlight. Just kind of taking a look. So it's definitely, with the taller tire on the front, it's definitely pretty well level. Like I said, the back, we're gonna lose about 1.5 inches of height on the rear tire. So that's gonna drop the rear end down 3/4 of an inch. So the front end, I'm not 100% sure I like these tires this tall yet, but I'm gonna see with the front cap on it. They may be okay, but they're a little bit fat looking right now. But yeah, overall looks really killer. That little bit of lift in the front really helped it out a lot. So going to pick up the fiberglass cap here soon this weekend. We'll have that. Maybe we can get it up on there and mock it up, see how she's gonna look. But yeah, a lot of progress made and looking pretty sweet. Also, I wanted to drop in one little tidbit about the straight axle thing. It really just kind of comes down to who you run with. There's a lot of groups that require you to have a straight axle, gas or racing groups. If you're just out there to have fun, build it how you want it, build it how you can afford it. That's how I encourage people to do it. So it's really just a matter of opinion and just seeing who you can run with and what the rules are, and do what you got to do to get out there and run your car and have fun. Simple as that. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Super stoked about the front end again. Like, man, look at that. Look at how good it looks with those rocket wheels, rocket fuel wheels. Can't say enough about them, man. They look killer. And the whole front suspension, the car sits level. It's just like I wanted it, So once I get the induction and all that stuff added to the front, it'll squat it a little bit more, be pretty much dead on perfect. So very stoked about that. Kind of running low on funds and time for ACES High at the moment, so I got one more episode lined up where we go get a front cap for the car, fiberglass front cap. Super stoked to find that. Some buddies helped us out, so we're gonna go get that and set it up on here and see how she looks. And then maybe a couple weeks for a few more episodes. I gotta actually buckle down and work and make a little more money so we can put some time and money into this thing again. But be sure to stay tuned. We'll still have a video every week of some sort. Got Funny Car Chaos coming up, more gassers, Texas gassers, garage tours, a little bit of everything. So keep checking us out. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell beside it, which sends you notifications when we post a new video. Be sure to do that. Follow us on Facebook. Post every single day on Facebook and Instagram. Man, it's really blowing up. If you want merch, Gasser Nation t-shirts, gassernation.bigcartel.com. Running a little bit low in there, but I'll have it restocked soon. And yeah, so lots of events coming up this fall, and it's about to get crazy. So